Hey barbecue family, Kenyatta Robinson here. Welcome back to my Backyard Smokemaster Barbecue channel. Recently, the folks over at the MeatStick reached out to me and asked if I would be interested in receiving their product, the MeatStick, and if I could do a video comparing it to the meter. The only thing that I agreed to do was to go ahead and make the video. I'm not obligated to say that the MeatStick is better than the meter or to try and tell you that the MeatStick is the one to buy. So right off the top, I'll tell you that it's been an interesting experience. I've tried to make this video on many different occasions, but inevitably something would always go wrong. It was something either with the technology itself or it was my own user error because I didn't take into account all of the considerations, I'll just say it like that are needed in order to get these wireless thermometers to do everything that I wanted them to do. Ultimately, the promise of devices like these is that they are intended to allow you to monitor the temperature inside of your cooker as well as inside of the meat that you're cooking. You should be able to monitor it from any place. So in doing this video today, I want to try to answer several different questions. How easy is the setup? Are the apps easy to use and do they provide useful information? Is it worth the price? And probably the most important question is, can I use these wireless thermometers to monitor the temperature from any place? And is this really a need item or is it a want item? The connection for wireless thermometers needs to be consistent and able to overcome many different potential pitfalls. I mean, many of these things can be outside of, the meter or the MeatStick's control. For instance, the reliability of your Wi-Fi connection at your home. Also, how up-to-date and modern is the cell phone that you're using or the tablet? Does it have the latest, the Wi-Fi protocols or Bluetooth? So there are a lot of different variables that will impact how effective these wireless thermometers work and how satisfied you as the end user will be in your investment. Let's compare the two wireless thermometers side by side. So here on the left is the MeatStick X, on the right is the Meter Plus. They both come with charging cradles and both of them have magnets. You can visibly see the magnets on the back of the meter case. I'd say the magnet for the MeatStick X case is a little bit stronger than the one for the Meter Plus. Both cases have LED displays, which I'm pointing to on each, that give you visual cues about whether or not the thermometer is connected. On the MeatStick X, the cues will also indicate whether or not the battery is strong and needs to be replaced or not. I honestly can't remember if the Meter Plus gives you a visual display with regard to the battery life. I'm not sure. Now, looking at the thermometers themselves, the thermometer for the MeatStick is a hair longer than the one for the Meter Plus. They both appear to be pretty similar in terms of, the diameter of the thermometers themselves. And you see that the tip here for the for the MeatStick is a little bit pointier than the one for the Meter Plus. Now, both of them also have notches. The notches are visual indicators of how far you need to insert the thermometer into the meat in order for them to read the internal temperature. So I don't know, hopefully you guys can see, but the notch here is right above my thumb. on both thermometers. One key distinction between the two is that the meter tells you that you must have another mobile device in order to get that signal up into the cloud. So in other words, you need to have your charging cradle next to your grill, as well as another phone or a tablet. And then that acts, I guess, somewhat as a repeater in getting the signal from the thermometer inside your grill to the cradle to the wireless device, and then it goes up into the cloud. The MeatStick X does not have that requirement. Supposedly the charging cradle itself is all that you need in order to transmit that signal from thermometer up into the cloud. So we'll see how well that works for both thermometers. All right, guys, let's do our first test of the signal reliability. So this is very unscientific. This is very rudimentary, very basic. I'm just gonna walk over towards the fence and see what I get for both thermometers. Okay, so here's a look at the meter screen. Everything is reading well. It's telling me that there's about 1 hour left for the cook based on my internal temperature and target and current ambient temperature. Now let's take a look at the MeatStick. Looks good. Now I'm not quite sure what to make of the remaining where it says 11 minutes. But I guess that's what it's predicting, that there's 11 minutes left in the cook, while the meter says there's about 1 hour left. So you see there's a little bit of differences between both the ambient temperature readings and the internal readings. Meter 268 ambient, 149 internal. MeatStick 163 internal, 262 ambient. All right, for the second part of this test, I'm gonna walk to the end, basically the end of my fence line in my backyard. So pretty good distance from where we did the first test. Not quite twice as far, but basically around the side of my house. When I opened my iPhone, I got a meter disconnected warning on my screen. And when we go to the meter app, it's showing basically that all 4 of my devices are now disconnected. So it lost the signal, while the MeatStick still has a signal. Now, interesting, the remaining time on the MeatStick went away. So I don't know how useful that portion of the MeatStick app is, the elapsed and the remaining. That seems to be a little wonky, but it does still have a connection. So here we are I'm standing in front of the Weber Summit Kamado, and the connection is back. Okay, so I'm gonna get another device, make sure that it's connected to the meter, and then I'm gonna step away and go away from the house. All right, guys, I'm about 3 miles from home. Let's see what we got on the meter. I'm not connected. So I will say this feature has always been very inconsistent for me. Usually it doesn't work. Only been able to successfully have it work for me one time when I was away from home. I've probably tried it now maybe 4 or 5 times total. So basically it's just become a feature that I tend to not expect to see work. Let's take a look at the MeatStick X. And the MeatStick X is giving me also connection loss. Move this device closer to the probe. Stick lost connection. Same thing. I've tried this before with the MeatStick, and this is really why I hadn't done the video earlier, because for one reason or another, whenever I tried, either one of the thermometers wouldn't connect or the other one wouldn't connect, and I was wondering if it was just me. But now I'm just starting to think that this feature just isn't quite there yet. So I don't know, maybe some of you guys own the MeatStick or the Meter Plus, and maybe you're having much better luck than I am. If you are, please leave it in the comments and any suggestions. Maybe there's another step here that I'm just not getting. All right, barbecue family, I actually just got an alert here on my phone from the Meter Plus indicating that my chuck steak has reached its finishing temperature. When I got back home, I was able to reconnect to both the Meter Plus and the MeatStick. They both connected automatically, so no issue there. So actually, I'm gonna look down here at my notes that I put on my phone, because ultimately, it's a mixed bag. Again, you know, wireless technology when it comes to meat thermometers is still pretty new. It's still pretty ambitious. I think there are a lot of kinks that need to be worked out. I mean, ultimately, I think they both work very well as long as you stay basically at home. So you have the convenience of not having to deal with wires. You can walk around freely within the perimeter of your home. Your connection should be pretty solid. I think for both devices, it starts to get a little bit iffy, you know, if you do go away from home. I think that's where the hiccups and the problems start to come into play. And if that's really your main purpose for wanting a wireless meat thermometer, then I would say that the technology is not quite there yet. I think it's pretty inconsistent for myself. The connection capability with both the meter and the MeatStick has been inconsistent when I'm away from the home. But when I'm at home, both of them are pretty rock solid in that regard. Now, going back to my main questions, how easy is the setup? So the setup for both is pretty easy, but I give the advantage to the Meter Plus. I just think that their app is more intuitive. It's very straightforward. Not to say that the MeatStick also isn't straightforward. I think overall, I think their app, I think that's where the difference is just that the MeatStick's app is not quite as, I'd say, polished as the Meters app is. A lot of blank space on the MeatStick. It seems like they're not utilizing the full screen, whereas the Meter does a great job, great use of colors. Like I said, everything is just easy to find, pretty seamless. So I give the advantage there to the Meter. And then also with regard to just overall ease of use. Again, not that the MeatStick is not easy to use. It's pretty straightforward, but again, I have to give the nod to the Meter Plus. It's just a more slick, polished app. Do the apps provide useful information? I mean, yeah, they both provide the basic information that you need. You know, you can easily see the ambient temperature. You can easily see the internal temperature of the meat that you're cooking, as well as uh, the goal that you set. It just everything is right there for you. Also, I do like the fact that the meter app, when you're setting up your cook, you know, it does walk you through the different types of proteins. It gives you recommended cooking ranges. I think MeatStick also does this too, but I think it's just, again, I'm sounding like a broken record. Can I monitor temperatures from anywhere? So I've already answered that question. So I don't really give an edge to either thermometer with that regard. Is it worth the price? Now, I didn't mention it earlier, but both thermometers currently go for about $100. You can find deals. I know the meter consistently seems to have deals, especially around different holidays. All right, so my last question was, is it a need item or a want item? I think for both thermometers, I have to put it in the want category. I mean, do you really need a wireless thermometer? I would say no. Now, in barbecue, when you're cooking, you absolutely do need some type of an instant read thermometer. So that could be a Thermopin or another instant read thermometer. It could be, you know, the wired thermometers like Fireboard or the ThermoWorks Signal. You know, those have been proven to be very consistent, very reliable. So in order to cook your food to safe temperatures, absolutely, you do need some type of a thermometer, but does it have to be wireless? I would say no. So I would say ultimately for both, I would put these in the want category as opposed to the need category. Now, if push came to shove, if I had to pick one or the other, again, price is about the same, features are about the same, functionality is about the same, so they're pretty even. I give the edge to the Meter Plus because of the app. I just think the app is more polished, it's slick, very simple. But in terms of the functionality, overall look and feel of the app, I think the Meter right now is in a class of its own when compared to, you know, Fireboard, ThermoWorks, MeatStick, you know, other companies. I think their app itself is the best. So if I had to pick one, I would go with the Meter. So that's gonna wrap it up, guys. Gotta get this chuck roast off of the smoker. I hope this video was helpful. If you liked the video, please hit that like button. It really does help the channel. Subscribe if you haven't already. Hit that bell to get notifications on when I drop new videos. Leave comments. I love hearing from you guys. Once again, this is Kenyatta Robinson. Thanks for watching. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one.